Hey guys, welcome back for another reaction. Today I'll be checking out 5 signs you're raising your kids in Germany. So I've recently reacted to that video called How Independent German Kids, and I was so amazed how independent they are. Like they're so amazing. And now I wanna see more about it. So let's get into this.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. In this video today, I am going to be sharing with you the 5 signs that you are raising your kids in Germany. As a New Zealander who is raising my 2 children in Germany, I have to say that becoming a mum has been the biggest culture shock that I have experienced so far in Germany. And although New Zealand and Germany share very similar core values when it comes to raising our children, we also have very different parenting styles. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this today. And I don't want to generalize too much because I know that not all German parents are going to be like this and not all New Zealand parents are going to be like this. But overall, this is what I have experienced in Germany. Okay, so with all that being said, let's get into it. One of the signs that you are raising your kids in Germany is when you are at a playground or a play group or play date and a German mother will tell your child that they do not have to share their toy with their child. And okay, I'm going to give you an example of this because this is something that happened to me the other day and this still always shocks me a little bit. My little boy Matteo, he's 2.5 and he is not very good at sharing right now. He's learning, but he's not the best. And we were at the playground, he brought along his favourite truck and a little boy came over straight away, grabbed Matteo's truck, he was crying. So my first reaction when I saw this little boy crying, like most New Zealanders, I said, Matteo, why don't you share your truck with this little boy, maybe you can play together. And then the little boy's mother, who had seen everything that went on, said to Matteo, no, you don't have to share your truck, that is your truck and you can decide whether you want to share it or not. I'm just always a little taken back when I see this reaction from German parents because this is not how this situation would be dealt with in New Zealand. And I've talked about this before in another video. I gave like an example with a little boy sharing his ball. It was a similar example and this just happens all the time in Germany. It's also happened, Matteo has gone over to kids and started playing with their toys and the mothers will jump in and say, no, that is my son's toy and he gets to decide if he wants to share it. Honestly, I get this. I can understand why German parents do this and it makes total sense. It's just something that I am still trying to get used to. I've noticed that many German parents are very direct and very confident in their role as a parent. They're not afraid to tell you exactly what they think. And that can be kind of intimidating when you're a new mum, especially a new mum who is not from Germany. Another sign that you are raising.
That is actually nice because you're actually teaching your children to accept that not everything they ask they can just get it right away, because I feel like when you give everything to your children, like everything they want right away, they can be spoiled brats and they would always cry when they don't get what they want, and I don't want that to happen when I have a children in the future. And that is actually nice. I like it that way. Very firm parenting.
Your kids in Germany is when you start to get overwhelmed with the amount of shoes and protective weather gear you need to buy for your kids. My little girl Amelia is in her last year of kindergarten and this winter I think I had to buy her maybe 8 pairs of shoes. I'm not joking. And she is constantly growing. In Germany they take kids footwear very, very seriously, especially in winter time. So this year for winter in kindergarten, Amelia needed snow boots, gum boots, regular boots, shoes, house shoes of course, sports shoes, and also they do sports inside when it's really cold, so she needed these kind of like gymnastics type shoes. So that was 7 pairs of shoes, and during that winter she grew out a couple of pair of her shoes, so I think I had to buy like 9 pairs of shoes all up. It is serious business trying to keep up with the kids' shoe situation in Germany, and not only is it footwear, it is protective weather gear. Amelia needs a complete snowsuit and a complete rain suit, and she is constantly growing, so I'm just constantly having to buy her all of this gear. And in Germany, it's kind of like there's no excuse for bad weather. Kids need to have the gear to protect them from any type of weather, because in Germany it snows, it's rainy in winter, and the kids still want to go out and play. In New Zealand, it's pretty different. I know we don't have this kind of extreme weather, but I feel like New Zealand kids, they can get away with wearing one pair of shoes for every single occasion, and we just don't really care, we don't take it that seriously. Also, another thing, German parents only buy really good quality shoes for their kids, which I think is a really good thing. I also buy good quality shoes for my kids.
That's actually good.
They can be really, really expensive. So it's a good thing that in Germany they have a lot of these children's clothing markets where you can get really good quality secondhand shoes for a really reasonable price. Okay, so another sign.
It's actually good when you buy a really, really good quality and expensive shoes, because it lasts longer than the cheap ones. And so I don't really buy like cheap bags and cheap shoes, because I think it's not comfy. Like, not think, but it's really not comfy. Not all, but from what I experienced, and it can only last for a short time. So it's actually nice for them that they spoil the kids with nicer things, because the more you spend money on cheap items, the more it get expensive. So yeah, doesn't make sense.
You are raising your kids in Germany is when you can confidently breastfeed your baby wherever you want without getting looks of disapproval. I breastfeed both of my kids in Germany, and I was able to do it anywhere and still feel comfortable.
Wow.
I would do it in cafes, I would do it on the street, on a park bench. I would just breastfeed my kids anywhere. It didn't matter if my kids were hungry, I would feed them, and I would always do it quite discreetly. You'd never see my boob flop out or anything. So I would, I do it in a very discreet way, but I wouldn't care where I was. I would breastfeed, and I see a lot of German mums doing this. I remember there would be times in Germany in those early days where my baby would be screaming with hunger, and I would just have to sit down on the side of the road, on a bench, and feed my baby. I never once got a disapproving look or somebody that made me feel uncomfortable. I'd even get other German women kind of giving me a look of approval, good on you for breastfeeding in public, that kind of thing. I remember being in New Zealand with Amelia when she was 6 months old, and I just presumed it was going to be exactly the same in New Zealand as far as breastfeeding and pro-breastfeeding, but it actually wasn't. And I remember getting some really disapproving looks for breastfeeding Amelia in public. I just really appreciate the fact that Germany is so pro-breastfeeding. It is the most natural way to feed your baby, and it shouldn't be something that is frowned upon, or women shouldn't have to go and hide to feed their baby.
I know.
Okay, so another side.
That is really, really nice that they don't care. You can just breastfeed your baby everywhere, anywhere. That's really nice, because I feel like here you can't really do it, because you will get disapproval looks. And I feel like mom should not hide, because it's natural to feed your baby, Well, yeah. It's just, I don't think men would look, and then they could be lustful about your boob because you're a mom, but yeah, that's something I did not understand. Mothers should not feel bad about it, I feel like. But also, I am not a mom, so, but it's just my opinion. If I'm a mother, I would not care. I'm just gonna breastfeed everywhere too, because I have to feed my baby when it's hungry. But maybe I'll just have a cover, so it's not gonna show my boob. So yeah,
sign that you are raising your kids in Germany is when you are at a playground and you see a child doing something that you would consider extremely dangerous, like almost life-threatening,
Oh,
and then the other
yeah.
German mums around are not fazed in the slightest about it. They're barely even watching. And honestly, this was one of the hardest things for me to kind of get used to. I've talked about this in other videos. I have to bring it up again because I believe that this is a
I would
huge
panic.
cultural difference between parenting in New Zealand and parenting in Germany. German parents, they let their children take risks and experiment and explore, and by doing this, I have noticed that German kids have very, very good gross motor skills at a very, very young age. This definitely has a lot to do with the German parenting style of letting their children take risks. So I'm going to give you
I'm
an
sure.
example. Close to where we live, there is a playground with a really, really high fence made of cobblestone, and the kids like to climb up on this fence. They can kind of put their feet through the little gaps in the cobblestone, and
Oh
they climb up,
gosh.
and they like to walk around the fence, which goes around the entire playground. This is a very high fence, and I would
Oh
consider
yeah,
this to
that's
be very
high.
dangerous. Like if a child lost balance, they
What
could
the
really hurt
heck?
themselves falling down. Except the kids in my neighborhood do it all the time. They walk around this fence. My little girl Amelia, she's 6, and she saw some of her friends climbing up on this fence and walking around, and she wanted to do the same, except I was the only mum that totally freaked out and said, Amelia, you can't do
I
this.
would too.
Amelia was really upset that she was the only kid that wasn't allowed to walk around this really high fence, and the other German mums were just kind of like, oh, it's fine, you know, it's not that dangerous, and you know,
Really?
just she'll be fine. And so I reluctantly let Amelia climb up and walk around this fence, but in my heart I was like, okay, this is so dangerous. I don't know whether I should be letting her do this. And then I was kind of questioning myself. I was like, am I crazy letting her do this, or am I crazy for not letting her do this? Because there's a group of German mothers here who are all not in the slightest bit worried about their children doing this. I'm the only one that's panicking about this, and so I
I would
reluctantly
panic
let Amelia do
too.
it, and she was absolutely fine. She didn't fall off, and
That's
she wasn't
good.
like running along the fence. She was walking like slowly around, but still I didn't feel comfortable about it, and I don't know whether I should have let her. It's just, it was a tough kind of situation to be in because, you know, Amelia was going to be the odd one out and she really wanted to do it. So I don't know where to draw the line when it comes to this kind of thing. Okay, so another
That's so crazy. Like, I would also panic. I would never let my child to like walk in that high fence. That's crazy. Because if she falls, she'll get hurt. But also, it's nice that we would let our children to like explore and then take risks, because that way they would grow stronger, independent, and strong, brave, whatever you call it. But as a parent, I feel like I would really panic, and I'm not gonna let my child do it. It's not like we don't trust our kid, but like it's an intuition. Like, oh, they're gonna fall. She's gonna get hurt. So it's something like that, maybe. So it's so interesting, to see other countries' parenting style. But I'm sure it's good. It's good.
a sign that you are raising your kids in Germany is when you go to a swimming pool, like a public swimming pool or a lake, and you see mothers everywhere in all shapes and sizes strutting around in their bikinis and swimsuits. So they could be 8 months pregnant with this huge big belly chasing around after their toddler, and they don't care. They're just like, I want to have fun with my kids. I don't care that I'm 8 months pregnant. Not only will you see a lot of pregnant women in swimsuits, you'll also see a lot of women postpartum in swimsuits. So maybe they've given birth like 2 weeks ago and they've got their tiny little baby under the arm, and they do not
Wow.
care that they have stretch marks and that they haven't lost their baby weight. I just think this body positivity is so awesome in Germany, because I think a lot of parents in other countries would refuse to get in a swimsuit if they didn't look perfect, if you know what I mean. Like,
Here too.
if they had stretch marks, or you know, if they were carrying a bit of extra baby weight, they would hide away rather than just get in there and play with their kids and make memories and have fun with their kids. When I was pregnant with my little girl Amelia, I would never ever have gone out in public and showed my big pregnant belly off in a bikini. And I totally changed my mindset when I was pregnant with Mateo, my son. I would take Amelia to the lake, the river, the pool, and I would see all these other mums, you know, having fun with their kids, splashing around in the water, getting in there with their kids and enjoying themselves. And I was the odd one out. And then I was like, hey, I want to do that too. So I reluctantly put on my swimsuit with my huge big pregnant belly sticking out, and I got in that water and had fun with my little girl. No one looked at me weirdly, no one cared, and I was able to just get in there and make memories with my little girl without worrying about how I looked. So anyway, guys, those were the 5 signs.
That is really nice that people in Germany aren't judgmental, because yeah, here you definitely get a look when you are very pregnant and then you're in your bikini, you know. Yeah, that was really, really nice to be able to do anything. Well, I guess in Europe you could, is it in Germany too? Yeah, that's in Germany. Like, where's the park? People just get naked and nobody cares. Yeah, that's actually interesting. Like, yeah. Those are really interesting topic, and German parenting is really, really different and actually nice in a different way. I think it's I take it as a positive way. I actually like it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.